Hey everyone, this is Mandi Hutchinson here, also known as the Board Gaming Pinup Girl, and today I am joined with
Caryl.
I feel like it's been a while, Caryl.
It's been so long.
I know we haven't done reviews while we've just both been really busy, but still doing stuff. So we figured, hey, what a great opportunity today to talk about Root The Underworld Expansion. Yay! So, without further ado, we're just basically give you a little background about what we're doing today. So, today we're going to be, well, as the title suggests, talking about Root the Underworld Expansion. I have not played it, but I'm dying to find out a little bit more about it. And Caryl, well, you know what? Let me let Caryl tell what she does, what's all about, and we'll keep an eye on the chat for some questions. Okay, go ahead, Caryl.
Yeah, so I work for Leader Games on top of us doing our thing with our To Die For stuff that I'm sorry, we've been on a little bit of a hiatus, but, the 9-to-5 job has been taken away from that, yes. But so I'm in charge of their marketing and their customer service. I also do their video editing. And and just some general operation stuff, doing demos at conventions, wherever I need to be filled, just doing gamer things in a gaming company that I love. And well, Root Underworld is on Kickstarter right now. So everyone has probably heard of Root by now. Root Underworld is going to expand that base game that we already know and add 2 new factions and a double-sided board that has a mountain and a lake with map-specific rules as well. Lots of exciting things, and we're adding in some extra Kickstarter freebies as well, which are so nice. I don't know if you saw the Vagabond Meeple pack, Mandi.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh. Okay. Oh, how can I show this? How can I show this?
So you do a screen share.
Yeah, I might do screen share.
And then while you're doing the screen share, we actually have, so hello to Amanda and Michael in the chat. So Amanda Panda watches a lot of our playthroughs and interacts with us on Twitter. So hello and welcome. And Michael is my partner in crime when we stream on Monday nights. We're on a little bit of a hiatus, kind of getting back into it because of some stuff. But yeah, so thanks for coming in.
What I want.
Oh, you're disappearing.
Hold on. No, it did that thing where it was like a screen inside a screen.
Oh no!
Screen. Okay,
so
I think
it has
to be
right now.
Hold on. Oh okay. No, it's doing it again. Oh shit.
It's okay. While you're doing that, Amanda has a question. Which expansions for Root have you played, and which ones are most? Wait. Okay, and I'm assuming which ones have you played the most? I'm assuming that's what the question is. So, which expansions for Root have you played, and which ones have you played the most? So, okay. While you're doing your thing, I can answer, and then you can kind of answer.
Go for it.
So for me, I've played them all in the base game. I haven't played the expansion yet. So I've played the cat. Is it Marquise the cat?
Mm-hmm, the Marquise.
Yeah, so Marquise the cat. Yes, so I played that one. There's the I don't know them off by heart, so you'll have to help me with the names. The little green ones, the little mouse.
The Woodland Alliance.
Yes, the Woodland Alliance I've played. So I played them all. The one that I haven't played the least would be the programming. So is it the blue ones?
The Eerie.
Thank you, the Eerie. So the Eerie ones, I'm like, programming's not my thing. It's not bad though in this game. I don't mind it. It's just not my thing. But I found the Woodland Alliance hard to play with.
It can be. It kind of just depends on your understanding of the game first and foremost.
Right.
It needs you to have some basic ideas and concepts of how the other factions will work. Like the back of the boards all say the complexity level, and it's not always just the complexity of how it works, but also your understanding of the game and the interactions with all the other factions with each other.
Right. So yeah, so for me, I've definitely found the cat the easiest of the bunch to kind of play when you're learning. Yeah, the Woodland Alliance for me, I think my brain just took a little bit to wrap around because I played the game a few times. But I didn't mind it. Like, I enjoyed it. So it was good. Michael says, you're falling into a deep chasm. We must save her.
I keep going and I don't know how to stop it. It's like it's either the application window or the entire screen. It does it for both. And I remember there it goes again. Okay, so
how about you answer and let me see if I can help you out.
Okay, the screen sharing may not work for me, but if you pop up the Kickstarter page, they're basically unique meeple shapes, depending on the vagabond you're playing as. So usually when people play the first game as a vagabond, they're as the thief, the raccoon that you see like everywhere. But then if you don't know, there's a bunch of other animals that you can play as. Like there's the beaver that's very good at building, because that's what beavers do. There's the little possum, which is my favorite. They're like the instigator, and I think they're called the vagrant is the official name of it. And it's so dastardly. I love it. You really can, like, if you just want to stir things up, like that is the faction players. Oh, you got your thing working.
I did. So you're gonna have to guide me on what you want. So you want me to keep going down?
Keep going down. You'll see it when you see it. You'll know it. Keep going down. Yeah, down. Oh, stop.
Oh,
you
okay.
See it?
So we're looking at the Vagabond pack. Is that the one we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, so custom meeples for each other Vagabond. Okay, so tell me about this.
So it's just a nice aesthetic thing to make it a more, I want to say, immersive experience when you're playing as a Vagabond, because, the default one you get in both the base and the expansion is a raccoon shape. But there's only one raccoon vagabond. So if you're going to have let's say two vagabonds in one game, you're going to be like that exact one that you're going to be playing as. And I think it just kind of adds to it, because it's a world that, feels like you're kind of part of, like you're part of this narrative. So like it helps you feel like you're in it more, if that makes sense. I'm like being all weird about it, but
no, it's so good. I totally get what you're saying. Okay, so let me see if I can stop this. It's so funny. It goes stop and then present to everyone. I have no idea what that means. So we're just going to stop and come back. Hopefully we can come back or not.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh.
Did I lose you?
Okay. You're still showing your thing, but you're disappeared.
Oh, okay. Let's see if we can get out of that.
It's like doing a blinking thing. This is just not our day, Google.
It is not. Google is not our friend. So there you go. So apparently I am not visible. I've actually turned off sharing, but it doesn't like that very much.
We'll get you back soon.
I know. So that's okay. Keep going. So tell us a little bit about the expansion. I know you talked a little bit about what it adds. Can you use it in conjunction with the new bits? Like maybe just tell us a little bit of background into it for people who maybe haven't played too much of the game.
Yeah, I would say that the Underworld content-wise adds a lot of different dynamics to the current factions that you get. Like it adds 2 more factions that I would consider more advanced. And like I said before, advanced meaning just basic understandings of the game, the asymmetry, and the basic idea of what the other factions are doing and how they work and kind of what to watch out for. So the 2 boards, for example, that you're going to be getting, you're going to be using the advanced resin clearing markers. So the suits that you're going to get in each of the clearings are going to be randomized just like the winter board. So it's going to always have that replayability when it comes to the setup. And on top of that, you also get new rules with the board. So the mountain pass, for example, has like this one area that's almost like a king of the hill thing called the pass, and you have to try and hold that as long as you can. And like King of Tokyo, the longer you're there, the more points that you get to accumulate. So it's like a really tight spot that everyone's going to fight for, but it's also connected to almost everything. So it's going to be a place that is going to have a lot of conflict, but root and conflict, I mean, like, who are we kidding, right?
It's actually a game where conflict doesn't drive me crazy. Some games are like, oh, so mean, but I like that it seems kind of fair. Can combat be fair? I don't know how to explain that. I mean, it is based on a die roll, so to speak, but you kind of set yourself up in a really good position. It just doesn't feel like, I mean, if someone's moving into your territory, you kind of have to expect something's going to happen.
For sure.
I feel like gunning for someone in a game is not necessarily, I mean, there is a certain faction that, yes, kind of relies on you kind of going after people, but it's like, it's open information. Like, that this faction is going to come for you.
Right. So like, I play a lot of area control games just because that's the kind of games I like. Like the Game of Thrones board game is just one of my favorite games of all time. And, not to be biased because I'm with Leader Games, but I really like how the combat works in Root because you're not putting every unit of yours at risk by fighting, and moving to another clearing doesn't necessarily mean you're going to fight either. Like, it's something that has to be initiated. Right. So it's like, I'm just going to come here and kind of share this with you if you don't mind, and just kind of move around, do my thing, and not take it as like I have to kill you to get you out of here.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. Oh, we do have a question. So, what are the 2 factions to best play for new players in a 2-player game?
Oh, I would definitely say that the Cat Marquis and the Eerie are probably the easiest ones to get into when you're starting out.
Okay.
Just because they're the ones that are going to have the most units for you to play around with, and they're the 2 that are, I guess, considered the most aggressive ones. So you're gonna have a lot of easy head-to-head conflict. Like our normal understanding of conflict or war games, just like, I'm going to move here, I have to take this over, I need this spot, I need to get you out of here, kind of thing, right? And as you expand on it, learning the other factions, you start to know that the game doesn't necessarily have to be all about that. Right. And the cool thing too is that the new faction in the Underworld expansion with the moles, it's meant to be a good pairing with the Cat Marquis for 2 players as well. So that's something that they did consider when designing the new factions.
Is it recommended? Because I know games like Vast, it was kind of a hard experience to have with 2. I don't even know if it was doable with 2. I played it with 3 and I actually didn't mind it. Right. But in Root, is it recommended, or is it like, yeah, you can play it, but it's a better experience with a certain player can?
I mean, it kind of just depends on you and what you're looking for. Like, I would not play an area control game in general with 2 people. It just doesn't seem very fun for one person usually. Like, it's, I don't know, like 2 people just fighting over things like that. You're always fighting anyway. I don't know. Like, I prefer it when it's more people, because it just gives for more interesting strategies, let's say.
Right.
Other than, just very upfront about, I have to move here, I'm clearly going toward you, I'm clearly going for this or something, right? But that's just how I personally feel about 2-player air control games in general. Like,
in general, okay. So this isn't any exception to that.
Yeah, it just depends on what you're looking for. Like, with 2 people, it's got the replayability to just try different faction pairings, because there's a lot of weird ones you can try, and it's so interesting how they work together, and it could be surprisingly non-conflictual if you want to play it that way, like with the lizard cultist, for example, or like with a vagabond that doesn't fight. Like, it can create some really weird stuff, but it's so interesting when you see it kind of, I don't know, develop in a way. But yeah, I don't know. That's just me. But I don't know how you feel about 2-player conflict games anyway.
I mean, I don't generally play a lot of conflict games, but yeah, 2-player seems like, I feel like you would have to have like a dummy player. And anybody who has heard me talk knows how I feel about dummy players. So for me, I feel like I'd rather have the body in there. So we have Patrick Leader in the chat. So hello. And answering some questions for people. So it's great. So if you have questions about what factions to play together, that sort of thing, like in this case for 2 players, Patrick is saying play the cats versus the birds.
Hi, Patrick.
So hi. I feel like this is one of those streams where it's going to be like after the fact, people are like, oh yeah, this was on. And then have questions after it's over. So
yeah, that's fine. I mean, just message us anytime, whether, I guess, if it's like through us on social media, like your personal, my personal, or like Leader, like the support email at Leader Games. Like, I'm always answering rules questions and clarifying everything. I mean, we'll talk about anything that you want to talk about.
Yeah, which is great, because I mean, it's hard to get that contact, right? So here you are, it's visual. Might as well ask you the questions now if you can.
Yeah.
The Kickstarter just literally zoomed right off. Like, it's I looked, I'm like, holy moly, it's just like crazy numbers.
Is that the wordplay right there? Holy moly.
Oh my goodness. I walked right into that one.
Gotcha again.
I know, right? So Ruth, it's established a following to a certain degree.
Oh yeah, like I'm okay. I don't want to discredit Root at all, but like, I am just so surprised at how many people just absolutely adore Root. Like, It's something that I adore myself, and the fact that so many others adore it like as much, if not more than me, is insane. It's incredibly humbling, and it's really exciting and overwhelming at the same time. Like it's crazy. Like we've surpassed the entire campaign of the first Kickstarter in the first day for Underworld. And that's insane.
No, it really is, especially for that type of game. It's not like, so we have a question, Michael, in the chat. What is the best method for learning the game without having someone, so basically without someone having played it before? And so we'll talk about that in a second. So that's a great question. But it's definitely not, like I remember Vast, which is different. But that's a learn. That's like, even to teach that, I'm like, okay, maybe just get an idea of your role, and then we get together, we'll kind of see what everybody does. And this is one of those kind of games, right, where everybody has a role to play, and you kind of need to know what you do, but you also need to know what everybody else does. That's not an easy teach, and it's surprising, I guess, for me that people are so, I guess, involved. They're like, oh, you know, like I want the next thing, and it's good because it's a story and it's a continuation, and they're involved in this world. And I think that's a wonderful thing, right? So maintaining those that client base and propelling this world forward. So coming back to this question, someone who's new to this type of game, like, how do you learn it? How do you learn Root?
How do you learn asymmetric games?
Exactly.
That was the question. Everyone's a little bit different. I mean, if you do have someone that knows it, like just it helps so much to just play it with someone that can tell you just the general flow of the game and help remind you about the little cues and things. But if you don't have someone, and you don't have a demo that you can attend at a convention run by CERT or someone, or a how to play that sometimes someone else will run at another convention, I think the best thing to do is just arrange like 3 or 4 people who have an interest in Root. I wouldn't go more than that, because the 2 River Folk factions are for more advanced play, so just keep it max 4. Do a little bit of homework, to be honest. Like I know homework sounds like it sucks, but take a faction that you're playing and read the rulebook of how to play that faction, just your faction, and the basic stuff that you'll get in like the basic law of Root. This will go over like battling and all that. Do that and follow the walkthrough we provide in the game. It'll take you through the first 2 turns with a 4-player game, and those 2 turns are meant for you to get a grasp of how your own faction will work. And as you're playing, things will start clicking. Like the first game, I would not play with the intent to win. If you're gonna do that, I don't think you're necessarily gonna have a good time, because there's factions that might be easier for someone to grasp, and maybe like someone could get points in an easier way because maybe it's more obvious than, say, like the Woodland Alliance, and it's because you don't understand it yet. So play a first game with a whole bunch of new people that have read just their role and the basic concepts of the game, and play it to learn it, not play it to win. Because I think if someone tries to play it to win, that's when things might, I don't know, be a bit of a disappointment because they don't understand how that person wants. So maybe as you're doing your turn, explain what you're doing to the other player so they can understand. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah, and I'm like, I play to learn in every game, probably why I never win. But hey, it's a good approach. So Patrick says, get 4 friends and use the walkthrough, and mentions that they've led 15 groups at the same time through it. So yeah, and that's really cool to mention that in the book, there's a walkthrough of the first, I don't know if it's the first couple of turns. Yeah, that it kind of walks you through, which is nice, you know, because sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. And I mean, I'm the type of person that just does whatever and then see what happens. But this is for people who just, you know, want to be guided and like, okay, I got it, and I can try and figure it out. So
yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, we even tell you how to stack the cards too. So it'll tell you what cards to start with your hand. So it gives you options instead of like, you know, you're dealt with this and you can't do that thing you want to do that turn or something.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And it gives people a starting point. And that's usually where people have difficulty. So yeah. Michael says, I know homework wouldn't go over with my group. I teach or it doesn't get played.
Well, I will tell you this, Michael. I will teach you myself if we ever cross paths physically.
Exactly. So there you go, Michael. You've got a teacher.
Well, and I mean, that invite's open to anyone that I come across. Like right. I was teaching, I was supposed to teach Mike from Plan B how to play Root. And Yeah, that didn't happen, but it was supposed to happen. I know one that did go through. I taught Kwanchai Moria how to play Root with a bunch of his friends, and then, oh man, what a difference it is versus teaching a demo to people who just casually come by your booth versus people who like are like they're really into it. Like
Right.
you tell them a couple things and it's like boom, boom, boom. It's like great, you don't really need me. It's like turn 3 and you guys know what you're doing.
No, it definitely makes a difference.
Yeah. I think Amanda had another question.
Yes, there was something about the expansion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So she says, would the new expansion be good for a new Root player?
Actually, that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it's a tough one to say, I think. I mean, I think it's appropriate to transition from some of the base game characters to it, but
Right.
to jump straight into using one of the expansion factions, maybe not. Just because I think Crows, if anything, might be a little difficult to really ramp up your I guess your point engine, or I guess your I don't know, like just your objectives and how you work. I mean, the expansions are also still in development. So, oh man, it's a tough question. It actually is.
No, I believe it.
Well, yeah, because like you know so much about Root already, and it's like, oh, like I have to put myself in the shoes of someone new. Like, is this going to be accessible for someone new?
Right.
I think the short answer is that probably no. Try either Cat or Eerie, even Vagabond, just to start out, and maybe play a few games, trying like alternating between one of those three, and maybe even Woodland Alliance, and then make the transition. I think that if you really, really want to try like the expansion as a new player, there's the automated factions that we're also releasing. So that's going to be for solo and co-op. So I think trying a solo game might be the best way as a new player to try and learn how the game works and the general mechanics of it.
Okay. No, I think that's pretty good. I mean, definitely anything with expansion for me. If I'm trying a game for the first time, I generally avoid until I've played it a few times just to kind of get the hang of it. But there are some games which kind of allow you to kind of, it's straightforward enough, it could jump in, but this feels like it might be like a whole different thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just because it's like explaining what everyone is doing, and not only are you trying to understand how you play, you're understanding how everyone else plays. So it's like fitting pieces of a puzzle together. Because,
Right.
like in a normal game, it's like, okay, everyone's doing this, and it's just understanding what everyone's doing. Now it's like understanding what I'm doing, what person A is doing, person B, and then it just becomes like crazy. But I mean, it's not as daunting as you might think. I just think that it takes probably, I don't know, how would I say this? It takes a lot of attention, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know, a thirst to learn it too, not just be absorbed in like your own what's that word I'm looking for? Solitaire. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Like the person, like like solitaire play, like a Euro. It's like I'm gonna do
Hey,
this.
well, yeah, okay. That's true. Multiplayer solitaire.
I'm just saying that there are some games that are solitaire feeling, and it's not like that. Yeah. Okay, don't give me that look.
I know. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm probably way exaggerating, but
No, I don't think so. I played it. I totally get it. So, is there a plan to extend it? Like, I know we're just putting out the expansion for the Underworld, or is like, okay, the Underworld's going to be like, okay, bye-bye, we finished off, put it to sleep and try something else, or is this something that's going to continue?
I think that everyone at Leader right now is just so in love with the world of Root. We just want, like, there's just new ideas that just pop up all the time that we want to see more ourselves. Like, it's like, oh, what if this happened? What if, what if this isn't like a real conversation, but like, what if the Cat Marquis like has been overthrown and now like the Eerie has taken over? Like, what would happen in that scenario? What would it look like if this happened? There's definitely going to be more Root. I feel like, okay, not officially. This is not official announcement.
Yes, I don't know if you can put a banner, not official.
But I think not only we want to see more of it, for the benefit of narrative and just exploring this world that we've just started to create, but also for people that just want to try like different things, try different dynamics, different matchups, different maps, and still have the same universal idea of Root and take that in like other directions. Like it's so limitless in the direction we can go in. And yeah, like we will see is the official.
Oh, we will see. I'm looking at Michael in the chat. You heard it here first. Breaking news. No breaking news.
Breaking news. You will see.
We will see. So now for people who own Root now and get the expansion, with the expansion, is there a certain set amount of characters you have to play with the expansion? Do you know what I mean? Like from the original game, do you have to play with XYZ in order to play with the expansion? Like what's the dynamic with how they interact?
Yeah, so just like with the base and Riverfolk, the current expansion that we have, there are recommended matchups depending on the player count. But it's not limited to just those factions. It's the ones that we recommend for maybe certain dynamics or the most interesting matchup, or or maybe the more straightforward, maybe, right?
Okay.
I would say that. So I do want to point out that just because we're adding 2 new factions, the player count doesn't increase to 8. It's still 6.
Okay. That's important, actually.
I mean, like, I would not stop someone from trying it if they really want to, but I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I don't even know how would that go. I'm like, oh. Like, we played it at 6. I mean, we played it at 6, and it was a decent length of time. Like, it wasn't crazy long. Not that I have a problem with longer games. And it still went really well. Maybe because I won. I don't know. I play the Vagabond and I win. But, yeah, I don't know. More than 6 seems like it'd be pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, it just might be downtime, or it just might be too long, right. Or maybe it might hinder one person from really being able to develop their faction. But yes, just because of the map and how that's designed and what was planned for it, it's still going to be 6.
Okay, is it something that's listed like, if you want a more aggressive game, play with this? If you want a nice, friendly, la 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 kind of game, play with this. Like, I don't know. Is that something that's...
Well, we already have this on the back of the Learn to Play, and we put the beginner ones with the little torch, and those are the nice ones.
The nice.
Maybe not necessarily the nice ones, but the most straightforward ones, we'll say. I mean, like, it's Root. Is it really nice to begin with?
Well, it started off nice, and I thought it was nice. I was like, haha, I'm the cat when I first played. I'm everywhere. Look at me. And then I was like, wow, I'm not anywhere. By the end of the game, I was in like 2 places. Exactly. There you go. Exactly, Michael. Picking flowers under rainbows. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. It did not go that way.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, so that's good. So if people want like matchups to better suit their tastes, if you will, that's an option. And is that the same with the expansion?
Yes, it's also going to have those recommended matchups as well. I had a peek of it in our Slack conversation. I don't know where the image is, but I remember seeing a peek of it, I think.
Okay, that's good. Because for someone like me, I just want to get right to it. Great. This one's going to do lots of attacky stuff. I don't want that. You know what I mean? I like to make that choice beforehand. If it develops like that, so be it. But if I know I can push it in a certain direction,
I mean, just in general, I mean, if you like to avoid conflict, I don't think Root is necessarily the game for you to begin with. Like,
but I like Root.
I know, but I mean, like, you're still the cat. The cat is like the jerk faction, because, like cats.
That is true. They were everywhere for a while until I got destroyed. The Vagabond was right up my alley. I liked it. It was like 1. Haha. It was good. I don't know. That's a thing.
Yeah.
I know. So, where or is anyone able to play the expansion now? Like, is there at a convention, or is it kind of like, nah, it's still in that stage where it's not quite ready?
Yes, we have been releasing a steady release of the print and play through our Kickstarter updates. So I think all of it should be available as of today, actually. So you can print the mountain map, you can print the lake map, and you can already print the mole and the crow faction. And I'll tell you the whole how to play, like as in like outlining the daylight, the bird song, like every phase and action that you're doing. Like it's all already there, and it's on the Kickstarter page actually. Should be the latest update. Yes.
Okay, so it's most
Yeah.
recent. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And when is the Kickstarter's ending soon, is it not?
Yeah, it's gonna be ending next Tuesday, the 2nd, April 2nd.
So once it ends, are people able to do late pledge, or do they have to, that's it, so sad, or they have to wait coming to retail? What's the story with that?
Yep, we're going to be accepting late pledges, and generally we keep those open as long as we can. Usually cutoff is maybe like a month before we plan on shipping, just because, you know, like we have a printed number and it's already on a boat, and nothing's going to change that number no matter how many orders are going to take past that point. And then we're going to have some go straight to retail afterward. We usually like to give a little leeway to make sure backers have it for at least a little while before you see it in retail. Just, yeah.
Okay. No, it's good, because I know that's a question here, but I had been asked that before and I forgot to bring that up.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And I did forget to mention that we'll be at PAX East this week. So that's going to be from Thursday to Monday. And we are running demos of Underworld. So
okay, so that's Thursday. What's the date, just so I can toss it up? Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up here. So Thursday, March 28th until Sunday, March 31st?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, that's exactly it.
And that's PAX East?
PAX East in Boston.
In Boston. Okay, so there people can take a look at there, and I know a lot of people are going, so they'll see that and be able to try it. So I have a question, because I know somebody's going to ask it. I feel like a jerk that I'm even going to ask it, but I'm going to throw it out there. So, do you feel that any of the factions in Root or in the new one, potentially, if you heard, well, that seems like it could be overpowered? You know, there's something with this faction that seems to always win. Is that something that comes up? Is it something that's been, that's been looked at? What are your, or one specifically that stands out? Or is it just people are like, nope, sorry, you're just not playing that right?
Okay, so first of all, so from the first printing, we've released a balance adjustment for some of the factions. And they're very, very minor adjustments that increase the win rates for, let's say, the Lizard Cultists. So the Lizard Cultists is one of the Riverfolk expansion factions. And they had one of the lower win rates. And I remember when the expansion, the game first came out, there were so many threads on BGG going, I'm having trouble winning as a Lizard Cultist. How do you win? And with the studio testing and everything, it was kind of hard to gauge how, I guess, the testing or the games are going to go when it's in the hands of so many people, right? Mm-hmm. That it required a small balance adjustment, we'll say. Just to make it an even playing ground, because based on the first printing, Woodland Alliance and Vagabond were just way up there. Like Cat and I think the Lizard Cultists were at the bottom. And the with the new adjustments that we made, which are so minor, like cats can save multiple cats with their field hospitals now, and Lizard Cultists are easier. They have an easier time. They don't have to sacrifice their acolytes on the board. Okay. I'm probably saying the wrong terms, but okay. it's meant to just have, I don't know, make it. No, I'm doing all this.
That's okay. That's me. Yeah. That's my thing.
I think it's just using your available resources with you and is less straining on them. Because, like with the Woodland Alliance, we didn't have to change much other than changing the number of points you're earning by having the sympathy out on the board, for example. Because, like at a certain point, the escalation of it was just too much. So it just had to be pulled back a little bit. And with the Vagabond, people, no, they didn't exploit it, but if the vagabond got attacked by someone else and they ended up, killing another faction's warriors, then they would by default be hostile. And then, by trying to stop the vagabond, you're also giving them points. So that didn't quite add up. And that's something that had to be pulled back a bit too and make it an intentional action from the vagabond to do an attack to earn those infamy points by doing that. So just little minor things like that came out just from hearing the feedback from the community and just trying to hear what people wanted from the game. Because, there was already so much that they liked already to begin with. It's like, I love this faction. Like, how do I, achieve this? And it ended up just being like a small minor change. And it's hard to anticipate that, I think, with any game or design. I mean, there's so many games out there that have like little adjustments that happen anyway, like, video games do little patches or whatever, right? And right now, as it is, like, we put the print in place so people can test it and so we can get that feedback now and hear what people say. And, if we're doing the right thing with this adjustment, like the development phase is just so rigorous and it's very, like hammering out everything, like making sure it's as smooth as possible. Like, I don't know if you ever saw the first print and play for Root, but the first version of it was so crazy how different it is to what it is now. Like it's the weirdest thing. And you wouldn't believe that it was the same game. Like the Vagabond relationship track was like a circle. And then the Woodland Alliance had, cards were different. We had, we did have the top and the bottom, but the Woodland Alliance, I think, was using only the bottom portions of the cards, something like that. But just things that happen from just like, the studio testing, the closed play testing from, from the office, and just getting feedback from just having the print and play out there. I probably talked too long about that, but
no, it's good because I actually didn't know a lot of that stuff. And then we have in the chat, man is asking, is there a link to all of the changes?
Yeah, you know what? I will get you that link right now, put in the chat. All those changes you can actually print right now and just fix it to your board right away.
Oh, okay. So there you go. I actually didn't know that. So see, I'm learning something new. So
yeah. So I will get that.
Oh no!
There. What did I do?
I'm reading the chat. So Patrick said he can do it.
Oh, okay.
Did you read the line before that? Yeah. So.
But wait, I got it.
I'm not laughing at you, Patrick. I'm laughing with you because it's funny. Oh, there you go. So we'll put the link in the chat. So if you're looking for those changes you have read, what I didn't know, like me, you can implement that. And I'm assuming with the new characters, you're doing the same kind of rigorous testing and, things happen, but as long as you know in advance and try and make that work.
Yeah. And honestly, like the development at Leader is just so talented. Like I really do have to give a shout out to everyone there, like Nick, Cole, Patrick, Marshall. Yes. Everyone just does such a great job with ironing out the design, and they're just so passionate. I just love seeing the changes between the different conventions I'm attending, because every time they bring when Root was out, I saw maybe 3 or 4 different iterations of Root, one for every convention that we went to, and all the changes was just, it was a nice progression of like something that you thought was like done. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I see how that is. And it goes like, oh, I see where this is going. And it just gets better and better. And it's like, wow, like, they turn like a rock into a diamond or something,
I've been seeing versions of Root, and I'm assuming people will do the same when Underworld comes out. But I've been seeing a lot of these like 3D printed versions.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that like a thing? Is that something they're thinking of doing, or?
We've talked about it.
Oh, okay. Because I've seen people do their own, because 3D printers are all the rage. No, I do not have one.
I would love my own 3D printer, but I wouldn't know what to do with it either. I would have to download someone else's files and just,
I feel like I just make useless stuff just because.
Well, we talk about so many things that come up in forums and Reddit and discussions. Like we always talk about everything that comes up. If we do, we'll say so. And if we say so, then it would be a release that we already like would have worked started working on. At the moment, nothing yet. I mean, we have like the aesthetic bonuses in the Kickstarter already that has like the vagabond meeples and the resin clearing markers. So those are like for the advanced boards where you randomize the clearings on the board. So that's a first step to it. I've seen some fantastic work other people have done. Like this, I might be remembering the Twitter handle wrong, but I think King Penguin, I think it is.
Okay.
He's made some beautiful 3D renders of the animal factions in Root. Like he did a fully rendered like cat, the Eerie, like everything, like as if it was like a miniature, right? And I think someone painted a set, and I'm pretty sure his files are available to download if you have access to a 3D printer. Like it's amazing what he's done, or she. Okay. I think it's he, or yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to assume, but
okay. No, that's great. Yeah. I'd seen them around like the 3D renditions, but I didn't realize that this person was actually. No, there's a few I've seen, so that's great. Yeah. So if anyone's interested, they have, and you said it's at.
I think it's at King Penguin, but I'll leave it in the show notes. Actually,
sure.
So people, yeah,
that maybe want to check that out. Oh, interesting. And I had a really weird. Oh, do you have anything? Okay, I was gonna say I had a really weird thought. So something like Root, do you think it's translatable? And even in this Underworld expansion, do you think it's translatable into something like a LARP?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, like we talk about like all the time, just dressing up as an animal at a convention or something.
I'm serious.
Well, yeah, no, I'm serious too.
Okay, I'm like, I don't know what's laughing at me.
No, like because it sounds so fun. That's why I'm laughing. I would love to. I would love to dress up as a vagabond character or a Marquita cat with like my own like little cape thingy.
Right. And then you have a team of cats, like when you need them. Leisha! Patrick says someone needs to make you a raccoon costume.
Yeah, that's been talked about.
Why don't you? There's a kigurumi. There's a raccoon kigurumi.
But like, I want like a rocket raccoon kind of.
Oh god.
You know what I mean? Not like a kigurumi, but
like a legit.
Yeah.
You know they're gonna make it happen, right? And then you have to wear it.
I'm waiting. But anyway, there isn't a Root RPG that is being worked on.
Okay, that was gonna be my next question. So yes. Okay.
I'll also leave the link for that as well, but I'm pretty sure the link is rootrpg.net.
Oh, some little, all the little tidbits in here. So there you go. So Root RPG. And this is just looking at the base game or potentially the expansion as well.
I think so far it's only including the pre-Underworld faction, but I mean, like with an RPG, that's definitely, that could easily change. I'm going to add the link right now in the chat.
Patrick, come on. You're supposed to be on it. Patrick's too busy. I don't know. Whatever Patrick's doing, it involves food, so I too would be focused. I'm just kidding. Patrick's being lovely in the chat, answering questions.
But yeah, I mean, there's a LARP, yeah.
Well, I have to ask because it just seems like it would be like the next thing, or I skipped RPG because I was like, okay, well maybe they've already started that, but LARP's like even further, and it's like, well, no, this is like legit. It could happen. So
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Just putting it out there, Patrick. I wouldn't mind a social deduction game of Root.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far.
Oh wow. You ruined me, Mandi.
I know you love social deduction. But I mean, I could see the appeal. I mean, I can't promise that I would love it, but I mean, I'm just one person. So I'd be very curious to see that. I'd be curious to see it in action.
Yeah. I mean, we could do it. Like, you can turn Root into anything. You can turn a Root Euro game. We could have a Root building Ticket to Ride edition of Root.
Yes, that's true. I would be okay. Maybe add some cubes, some trading in the Mediterranean or something. Then maybe we can discuss.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a Castles of Burgundy version of Root.
Or why not?
What about the hottest thing?
Right, it's all the rage. Speaking of, and actually that lends itself to Castles of Burgundy just launched a new app.
Mm-hmm.
Could Root be an app? Is this something that has been thought of? Can they incorporate?
We're already ahead of you, Mandi. It's being worked on.
Here. Why am I like the last to know? I feel like I'm not the last to know, but I'm just hitting all the right things.
So there's a digital version being worked on by Direwolf Digital. They did. They've done lanterns in digital format. They announced a Mage Knight digital format. Raiders of the North Sea. They've done more as well, but I'll also add that to the show notes.
Yeah. Oh, wait, Patrick, I'll get a link. Oh, great. So, and on that note, I know people may know that I also do some work on the Dice Tower. So I do a podcast with Suzanne Sheldon, and we're in the midst of working on launching our digital show. This is why I bring this up. So potentially, depending on when this happens, we might be able to throw that into the mix now.
Smooth segue.
I know, right? Do you like that? I know I'm usually really bad at them on the podcast, but I've been on fire tonight, so like it's just working out. But so hopefully that'll be coming in early April, and you will also notice that the sponsor is we'll just leave that for right now. You'll see when that comes out. So Root could be on the menu. So we shall see. When is that? Is there a date on that? I know. Oh, and the link's in the chat now from Patrick. So thank you very much. Is that soon-ish, or like, nah, needs some development?
I want to say they're aiming for this year, but okay. I also don't want to promise something that that they're working on, and maybe it's like further than I think. But I want to say I think it's toward late this year, I think.
Okay, so Patrick says there's not a date yet.
Okay,
like officially. So yeah, so we'll leave it at that for now. But it's one of those things where people can just like keep an eye on it to see how it goes. And there's another question. Is there a small 2-player version of Root in the works? Oh, that's a great question, Amanda.
That's actually a really good question.
That's a super great question. Why didn't I think of that question, Amanda?
I think it's one that Patrick should probably answer.
Okay. So wait, Patrick's in there. Wait, I skipped something he said here. I've seen the visual deck for it. So good. I'm assuming we're talking about the app.
Visual, yes.
Okay. Yeah,
I've seen it as well. It's good.
Okay, I'm excited because like I have high standards here. Like right now, Castles of Burgundy I like, but there's some things that I'm like, it's a little funny. So
yeah, but Cole did mention something recently about working on an idea for maybe a family-friendly version of Root. Someone posted that on Reddit, and it was the first I ever heard of it. Thanks, guys. But I'm kidding. But yeah. Patrick says yes for the app.
Oh yeah, that was for the other question. Oh, there is something in there if you want to go ahead.
For 2-player small version, we've had some games pitched that will fit that pretty well. I've been hammering on a 2-player scenario.
Which is nice because I think it fits it, and it's weird because I don't play a lot of 2-player games. Oddly enough, though, lately I've been finding it hard to get like a ton of people to the table. So sometimes it's nice to just pull that out. No, let's play. So is it a modified version, or it's literally like, when I say modified, yes, it's modified for 2 players to work better with 2 players, but are you still gonna get the same experience? Oh, I just read Patrick's comment.
This is one for him to read. Yes.
So yeah, so is it still, you're still gonna have the same experience, or is it one of those things where it's like you should play Root in its fullest, finest format, and the 2 players like in a pinch, if you can't do that, you can play this and it's still fine? Or is it like, no, you will get a similar experience? I know it's hard for you to answer, and that might be more for Patrick to answer if you can.
Yeah. I mean, I could try and guess.
I'll throw it out there to Patrick, and it's one of those things like if it's not answerable, it's not answerable, but
right.
I'll throw it out there and we'll see what happens. Oh, here we go. So it will be cats versus birds with more tactical options. Ooh, my interests are piqued. I am a tactical player in general, so for me, as soon as I see tactical, I'm listening.
I'm so bad at planning.
I'm terrible at planning. Ugh. I mean, I play a lot of games that are strategic, but doesn't necessarily mean I'm good at them, but I still like it. But so yeah, so there you go. So yes, they're looking at having cats versus birds with more tactical options. So there are slight tweaks to make it work with 2, so you're still going to have that full-bodied experience, even though you're not playing with all the factions.
Yeah, because it's something that we hear a lot about. Is Root good with 2? Like, I'm hesitant to play this at 2 people. Like, it's only me and my partner that play this. And Yeah, I'd say that this is just based on a lot of fan feedback on what they're looking for from Root, because they want to experience it, but they don't want to be limited in their experience if they don't get to see an interaction between all those different factions. Yeah,
Okay. And what's this? Or use the bots. Bots are not dummy players, are they?
they are.
No,
It's
no.
so Patrick might have a better way of saying it, but we're working together with a user on BGG that's working on automated factions.
Okay.
I he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the automated factions are mostly for co-op mode. I don't know if you can add them for competitive play.
Okay, I
But
see.
you can already download and test them as well. So I can also add those to the show notes. I mean, there's so many links I'm going to add here, but
I know, I put it in the show notes. But then Patrick can just elaborate. I'm always weird about dummy players because I feel like, oh my goodness, if I'm going to play a game, why am I going to play with a dummy player? I'll just play a game that's, scaled for that player count. I get it. It's not a big deal. Some games, I will admit, are not so bad with a dummy player. I'm trying to think of one I've played recently where it wasn't too bad. It's escaping me right now. But there are very few games that I will play with a dummy player. It's just not my type of thing. But if it's, I don't know, if it's not taking up a turn to do it, like I don't have to, oh, okay, I got to do this and this. If it's just like a little, move this here. Oh, I think it was Glenmore. That was the game I was playing. Roll a die.
Yeah.
It lands here, the tile's out, done. I'm okay with that. When it becomes like a thing, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah. And I haven't tried the automated factions myself, but it might be a matter of just having things on the board that kind of hinder you from just easily slipping into a thing and like building all over it,
Mm-hmm. And there's Michael. Yeah, you don't want too much maintenance. And that's it. And I don't want people to be like, oh, you're lazy. No, that's not it at all. If I wanted to play a game, then either A, I get another player to play their turn, or I just don't play that game. That's it, So I just don't want to listen. I have to concentrate on what I am doing. And that's enough to like maybe squeak like a second or third place in. So now adding another player that I have to do, I can't divide the
squeak, Mandi?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, I did. I'm just walking into these. So Patrick has written something in the chat. You can fight cooperatively or just put them in the game as another player is the intent.
There it is. And I just linked to the design files too. So these are downloadable already for play.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're not final, of course, but I mean, like with all things that we have available for print and play, they're meant to be played and tested, and we want to hear feedback.
Yeah, okay. No, so I'd be curious to see about the bots. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I have not played with them, so I'd have to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, Michael nailed it. It's just maintenance. I don't want to have to worry about it, to be honest. So
Absolutely.
If it's something really simple, throw a die or move something or whatever, flip a card, we're good. But if I have to play like a turn as a play, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be curious to see how it plays out, because I know it's something that people are asking, especially if you're playing at a lower player count, you might need that to scale it. So no, this is great. So many good tidbits in here. I'm learning lots. I had no idea. So what about, you hear people say replayability. Is this a game, that I can, and they say it in this exact voice, that I can have replayability, it's just I play it once or twice and that's it. It's over. Well, they don't say it like that necessarily, but but is this something that comes up? I mean, I feel like there's a lot of game there because you can play the different characters, but once you've done that, is your next progression, okay, I need the expansion now to switch it up a bit. And then once you've done the expansion, is that it? Or?
Well, there's so much that you can tackle with the game. Like I personally don't see replayability being an issue, because with the expansion, you're not only getting 2 new factions for you to try out and have different pairings with the current factions you have, but you also have 2 new boards as well. So you might find that some factions might be more interesting to play in those boards, like the lake map, for example. Like it counts as it's basically this entire lake in the middle of the board, and river folk which are the otters. You can pay them to travel across water. Normally, the river and other maps, but with the lake, everything around the lake is kind of considered adjacent. So it's more interesting how that kind of works and kind of changes the dynamic. Maybe the river folk are more viable, or maybe they're more needed in that map, maybe. Or maybe the mountain map, maybe the moles might be something more interesting, not only thematically, but also mechanically too. There's so many things to try out, and hearing how some people play their game might be different how you will approach a certain faction on a certain map or in a certain matchup differently than someone else. There's so many things because everyone just works differently. And whenever I play Root, I never play it with any negotiation, but I always hear how people add a lot of negotiation to it. So that's another thing. Just having different people play gives you a replayability in itself, because there's so many new things to try with the faction itself, but also with someone new that might see it in a different way. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, yeah, I like the fact that you can tailor it, I guess, so to speak. Like, I don't really care for negotiation, so I just don't do it, but I still can enjoy the game and still get a really good experience out of it. So, no, I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think we're approaching the end of our discussion. I feel like as it progressed, I started getting all these what? And, thanks for people. I know it's a weird time. So we had a few people in the chat asking some questions. So thank you for that. And Patrick for joining us in the chat. If you had to sum up Root the Underworld Expansion in like a tagline, what would you say?
Like
the dark, the bold, the beautiful, or
murder and mayhem.
Oh,
which was the title we were kind of playing with, because murder of crows, and I think a group of moles or something was called mayhem.
I feel like this is familiar, maybe because I watch horror movies. It's come up before.
Something like that.
This is bad that I don't know what it is. I've heard it, but I can't think of what it is.
Yeah,
I feel like it's a horde of something.
Yeah, a horde. Yeah, like
a group.
Murder and Blink, whatever it is. Like murder itself sets the tone.
But isn't a group of crows? Okay, this is gonna.
A murder of crows.
Oh, that's right. It's a murder of crows. That's right. That's right. It's a labor of moles.
Oh, that's less interesting.
Well, actually, I know. I feel like that started, and I'm like, man, we just went down a hole.
I know mayhem is a group of something.
I feel like it is, but maybe I'm just making it up to sound like I actually know what I'm talking about when I don't really. Yeah. Okay. So maybe I'm sure someone will correct us and say, no, you're absolutely wrong. This is not a thing and we've made it up.
Just don't Google mayhem animal. I got some, I don't know, Dr. Teeth thing. Oh, it's a band.
Okay, so there you go. A mayhem is a group, all right. It is a band.
Electric Mayhem.
Well, we were on a roll till that point. Oh, goodness. Okay, so to wrap, so thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you for Patrick for joining us. Is there anything else you wanted to throw out there for Root the Underworld Expansion? I know that was a title we did kind of talk about Root as well, because if someone has not played Root, they may not know some of those nuances. We learned about so many new things, like 2 players. I talked about LARPs, all kinds of RPGs, all kinds of stuff.
Digital versions,
like so many good things that I actually didn't know until right now. So is there anything else you wanted to toss out there about Root? I know you mentioned it before, Kickstarter. What's going on? The whole bit, or the Underworld expansion specifically?
Yeah. So if you're going to be in Boston and PAX East this week, from Thursday to Sunday, we're going to be running demos the entire weekend. We are, like, if you can't attend, definitely download the print and play, because it gives you a sneak peek and lets you try these factions and get to use them already. And, we are looking for that feedback. So do let us know if there are things that really work well or don't work well. And if you're in Toronto, I am always happy to teach a game of Root. So I've already had a couple of requests on Instagram. I'm happy to do good on that promise for anybody who want to learn Root. So, more the merrier makes it easier.
Oh, hey, Annette jumped in. We're finishing. Annette, you missed all the good stuff, but that's okay. We'll fill you in. So where can people find you if they have questions or just general inquiries?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram and Twitter as @KicheGames. It's pronounced Quickie, but it's spelled like quiche. Yeah, it's weird. I run a board game event every Friday night in Toronto. That link is in my profile in social media. And it is where I'm also happy to teach Root if you are there. I see Ian O'Toole is here. Hello.
I know. I saw Ian. So for those who don't know, I feel like I embarrass Ian every time he comes in the chat, because of course I have to say amazing art, and on one of my favorite designers games, Vital Games, It's beautiful. Check out his stuff. It's so good. I'm sorry, Ian, if I'm embarrassing you, but I have to say it. And Netters Plays in the chat, another content creator. Hello, hello. I feel bad. They're coming in at the end. But you have to go back and now like watch at least the last like 30 minutes because I feel like so many secrets came out. I'm going to go with that. They're like, what? So check out like apps, LARPs, RPGs, 2-player version. Like, oh my goodness, so much stuff.
Everything is a bang.
I know. So did you give us an email? Sorry, I was so like engrossed in
email. Yes. If you wanted to email Leader Games about any questions, it is support@leadergames.com. Yeah, otherwise message me on social media. I'm happy to talk about Root games, anything, anytime. Like it's, you know, can bring out the extrovert in me. Otherwise, I don't know how to socialize.
Oh, that's not true. You're good. So no, that's so great. So then the Kickstarter you said ends April 2nd.
April 2nd.
So if you want to jump in on that, you can do that. But okay, there we go from Ian. Kyle is killing it with the Root expansion artwork. So who is Kyle? I do not know Kyle. So please, do we know Kyle's last name?
Kyle Farron. You've met Kyle.
I have not met Kyle. Have I met Kyle?
Yes, you have.
Oh my goodness.
I've introduced you to.
I am very bad with names, but I do not. Okay, Kyle, if you were watching this, we're going to get message so I can like put a face to the name because I do not remember meeting Kyle. This is so terrible. If I actually did meet Kyle, I don't remember. I apologize. My memory is bad.
But yes, the artist Kyle Farron, he does all the art on Root, all the art on Vast, all the art in Root Underworld. He does an amazing job. Like, follow him on Instagram too. Let's throw that out there.
Well, apparently, because I'm getting the cap logs of
see you right now.
Yay! Okay, so sorry about that. I seem to have just cut right off there. It's so ridiculous. I can't even. Don't even get me started on this whole thing. So, long story short, we just want to end off by saying you can send email to die4games, the number 2, die4games@gmail.com. If you have any questions for Caryl, I can forward them in her direction. So again, sorry about the drop off there. Internet's being weird. And that's it. So thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks, Caryl, for joining us. And yeah, so check out Root, the Underworld Expansion on Kickstarter, ending April 2nd. Bye, everyone.
All right. Thanks for coming, everyone.
And end.